My name is Élodie, I am 38 years old, and I am an architect in Toulouse. I am going to tell you a story that turned my life and my family's life upside down. It all started with family gatherings, moments that I cherished so much. That's where I met Maxime, my husband Marc's brother. Maxime was 40 years old, a financial consultant, always well-dressed and impeccable. He seemed like the perfect man, but no one suspected what was about to happen between us. The initial meetings were innocent. We talked about everything and nothing, our lives, our ambitions. Maxime was charming, attentive, and I felt comfortable in his company. We shared laughs, childhood memories, and amusing anecdotes about Marc. Our conversations were light and unpretentious. But over time, a certain complicity developed between us, an undeniable chemistry. It was a sunny Sunday afternoon during a barbecue at my in-laws' house that everything changed. We were alone in the garden, holding glasses of wine, discussing home renovation projects. There was something in the air, a palpable tension. Our eyes met a little too often, our smiles grew softer and longer. Then, without warning, Maxime brushed my hand. A simple touch, but it made me shiver. I looked at him, surprised, but I didn't pull my hand away. It felt like the world around us had disappeared, leaving only that suspended moment. The following weeks were a whirlwind of messages, calls, and furtive meetings. We found excuses to see each other, pretending it was for family gatherings or professional events. Each meeting was a mix of excitement and guilt. I knew what I was doing was wrong, that I was betraying Marc, but I couldn't help being drawn to Maxime. It was stronger than me, like an irresistible force. One evening, after a particularly stressful day at work, Maxime suggested we meet in a small discreet cafe in the city. I was nervous, my heart pounding. When he arrived, he smiled at me, the smile that melted all my resistance. We talked for hours, forgetting the time. Then he took my hand and led me outside to his car. We drove to a hotel on the outskirts of Toulouse. There, in that impersonal room, we crossed the line. It was passionate, intense, as if we were the only people in the world. From that moment on, our affair became regular. Every stolen moment was a breath of fresh air, an escape from routine. But over time, the guilt grew. I felt increasingly torn between my love for Marc and this devouring passion for Maxime. The lies piled up, and the excuses became harder to find. I was walking on a razor's edge, dreading the day everything would blow up. That day came sooner than expected. Marc, back from a business trip, discovered compromising messages on my phone. I had been careless, leaving my phone unattended. When he confronted me, I saw the pain and anger in his eyes. He was devastated, betrayed. I didn't know what to say or do. I tried to explain, to tell him I loved him, but it was too late. Marc decided to end our marriage. The news hit the family like a bomb. Relationships became strained, and looks turned accusatory. Maxime and I were the pariahs, the traitors. Family dinners turned into battlefields, every conversation an opportunity for reproach and resentment. The pain was unbearable, but the worst was seeing Marc suffer. He was my husband, my friend, and I had deeply hurt him. I remember one particular day when Maxime and I met in the little cafe where it all began. We sat there in silence, drinking our coffee without really savoring it. Maxime seemed distant, preoccupied. I knew this secret relationship was exhausting both of us. He looked at me with a sadness I had never seen before and said we had to stop, that we were only destroying each other. I felt a sharp pain in my chest, but deep down, I knew he was right. Our breakup was the final blow. I was devastated, but I knew it was necessary. Life went on, but nothing was the same. Family gatherings were now filled with awkwardness and unspoken words. Marc and I finalized our divorce, and he moved to Paris to start over. Maxime left Toulouse for a job abroad. The once united family was now fractured and scattered. Over time, I tried to rebuild myself. I immersed myself in my work, trying to drown my sorrow in ambitious projects. My colleagues, unaware of the inner storm I was going through, praised my dedication and professionalism. But every night, coming home, the emptiness and loneliness reminded me of the extent of the damage. I consulted a therapist, seeking answers and a way to heal. He helped me understand the deep reasons for my actions, my insecurities, my unmet needs. This healing journey was long and arduous, but it allowed me to regain some inner peace. I remember one particular night when I couldn't sleep. I got up, poured myself a glass of wine, and went out on the balcony. The moon shone high in the sky, bathing Toulouse in a silver light. I sat there, reflecting on everything that had happened. I picked up my phone and, without really knowing why, dialed Marc's number. To my surprise, he answered. We talked for hours about everything and nothing, but mostly about us. It was a cathartic conversation, full of tears and regrets, but also acceptance and forgiveness. Today, Marc and I have a cordial relationship. We are no longer together, but we have found common ground, a sort of fragile peace. Maxime and I are no longer in contact, but I carry the memories of our story, as tumultuous and destructive as it was. I have learned to accept my mistakes, to understand my weaknesses, and to grow from these experiences. One day, I received a message from Maxime. He had returned to France for a conference and wanted to see me. My heart tightened at the thought of seeing him again. We met in the same cafe where our story began. Time had passed, but the tension between us was still palpable. Maxime told me about his life abroad, his successes and failures. We talked at length, carefully avoiding mentioning our past. But inevitably, the subject came up. Maxime expressed his regrets, his wish that things had happened differently. I felt a strange melancholy mixed with relief. We decided not to resume our relationship but to stay on good terms in memory of what we had shared. Life goes on with its ups and downs, its joys and sorrows. I have learned to savor every moment, to cherish sincere relationships, and to never take for granted the trust and love of others. This experience has transformed me, made me stronger, more resilient. And even though the scars of that period will always remain, they are a testament to my journey, my mistakes, and my ability to rise and move forward. One morning, on my way to work, I came across an old family photo. Marc, Maxime, and I, smiling and carefree. This image reminded me of the good times, the shared laughs, but also the lessons learned. I put the photo away in a drawer, determined to move forward without forgetting but learning from each experience to become a better version of myself. Every day is a new opportunity to rebuild, to mend broken ties, to create new memories. I have relearned to love, to trust. I met someone, a patient and understanding man who knows my past and accepts me as I am. Together, we are building a new life based on transparency and mutual respect. My family and I have also begun to heal. Family gatherings have become more serene, less tense. We have learned to communicate, to express our feelings and needs. The road is still long, but every step brings us closer to peace and reconciliation. I remember one particularly difficult family gathering shortly after Marc and I announced our divorce. The atmosphere was heavy, everyone carefully avoiding talking about the elephant in the room. The children played outside, unaware of the tension among the adults. My heart tightened with every forced smile, every evasive look. At one point, Maxime came into the kitchen where I was preparing the meal. He looked at me with a mix of sadness and resignation in his eyes. We exchanged a few banal words, but the essential remained unsaid. I could feel the weight of our choices bearing down on our shoulders. Despite everything, we continued to attend family gatherings. It was painful but necessary. We had to learn to live with the consequences of our actions, to accept the new family dynamics. The first few months were the hardest, but gradually things started to calm down. Conversations regained a semblance of normalcy, and smiles became more sincere. For me, work became a lifeline. I took on increasingly ambitious projects, working late into the night to avoid thinking about everything that had happened. My architectural firm thrived, and I began receiving accolades and recognition in my field. But every professional success had a bitter taste because I knew I had no one to fully share it with. Therapy helped me through those difficult times. My therapist pushed me to confront my demons, to understand the deep reasons for my choices. I explored my childhood, my past relationships, and the insecurities that had shaped my decisions. It was a painful but enlightening journey. I learned to accept myself, to forgive myself, and to understand that we are all imperfect beings capable of making mistakes. Marc also sought help. He joined a support group for divorced people and found a community of people who understood his pain. We eventually found a way to coexist, to talk without bitterness. He rebuilt his life in Paris, where he met someone. I was happy for him because I knew how much he deserved to be happy. Maxime and I continued to exchange messages from time to time. Our conversations were friendly but tinged with nostalgia. He told me about his travels, his new encounters, and I did the same. We avoided talking about the future, preferring to focus on the present. These exchanges helped me turn the page, to accept that our story was part of the past. One day, while sorting through my belongings, I came across a sketchbook I had used during my architectural training. As I flipped through it, I found drawings I had made of Marc and Maxime, moments captured on the fly, smiles and laughs. I felt a wave of nostalgia but also gratitude. These memories were part of me, of my story. They had shaped me, and even though they were painful, they had also been beautiful. Over time, I learned to focus on the positive aspects of my life. I strengthened my friendships, reconnected with friends I had lost touch with. I discovered new passions like painting and hiking. Each new activity was an opportunity to rediscover myself, to reinvent myself. My relationship with Marc also evolved. We started seeing each other more regularly, discussing our respective lives. He told me about his new partner, his projects in Paris. I shared my professional successes, my new passions. Gradually, we rebuilt a friendship based on mutual respect and understanding. The family also found a new balance. Gatherings became more joyful, laughter resumed its place. We learned not to let the past define our relationships, to move forward without forgetting but learning from our mistakes. One particular event marked this renewal. It was the wedding anniversary of Marc and Maxime's parents. The whole family was gathered, and the atmosphere was festive. The children ran around, the adults chatted and laughed. At one point, Marc stood up to thank everyone for being there. He talked about the importance of family, love, and forgiveness. His words resonated with me, and I felt a wave of emotion wash over me. After his speech, I went to thank him. We exchanged a long look full of understanding and respect. It was a moment of reconciliation, of mutual recognition. We knew that our story had been difficult, but we had come out stronger. Maxime, meanwhile, stayed abroad. We continued to exchange news from time to time, but our lives took different directions. I keep a tender memory of him, gratitude for what he brought me, even though our relationship was tumultuous. Life goes on, and every day is a new opportunity to grow, to learn, and to love. I have learned to savor the little moments of happiness, not to be overwhelmed by the past. I have discovered an inner strength I didn't know I had, a resilience that allowed me to overcome the trials. Today, I am at peace with myself. I made mistakes, but they allowed me to know myself better, to understand my needs and desires. I learned to be honest with myself and with others, not to run away from my responsibilities. This story is mine, that of a woman who succumbed to temptation, who betrayed the trust of those she loved. A story of infidelity, guilt, and consequences. A rocambolesque story that, despite everything, taught me to know myself better, to understand the flaws of my heart and the complexities of human relationships. I hope that my testimony can help others avoid the same mistakes, to seek solutions before it is too late. The road has been long and full of obstacles, but each step brought me closer to the person I am today. A stronger, wiser woman, ready to face the future with confidence and determination. The scars of this period will always remain, but they are a testament to my journey, my mistakes, and my ability to rise and move forward. I learned to forgive myself, to forgive others, and to see beauty in every moment, even the most difficult ones. This story is part of me, and I fully accept it. I am ready to write new chapters, to live new adventures, and to continue to grow and learn.